Ethan Carter had never imagined that his next assignment would take him so far from Earth. As a member of the Interstellar Peace Corps, he had trained for years mastering diplomacy, security, and survival in alien environments. Yet nothing in his experience had prepared him for Zithra, a planet known for its strange landscapes, advanced technology, and a queen whose reputation echoed across the galaxy. Ethan's shuttle descended through the violet haze of Zithra's atmosphere. Outside the window he could see forests that shimmered with bioluminescent plants and rivers that curved in impossible angles. Cities floated above the surface, suspended by energy fields that defied gravity, and strange flying creatures zipped through the sky, glinting like living jewels. It was beautiful but intimidating. As the shuttle landed in the palace courtyard, Ethan's heart raced. Towering gates opened automatically, revealing a vast complex made of gleaming crystal and polished metal. He had read the intelligence reports about Queen Liriana, a figure renowned for her intelligence, wisdom, and unmatched leadership. The thought that he would serve as her personal bodyguard seemed almost surreal. Humans rarely held positions of direct proximity to the Queen, and even fewer were trusted beyond ceremonial duty. "Ethan Carter," a calm, musical voice called. Ethan turned to see a Zithran officer approaching. Her skin shimmered faintly and her eyes reflected colors he could not name. "Welcome to the palace. Follow me." Ethan followed, careful to study his surroundings. Every step through the corridors revealed something new. Walls that changed color depending on mood, floors that hummed lightly beneath his weight, and soft lights that seemed to anticipate his movement. Everything spoke of a civilization far beyond human technology. At last they reached the audience chamber. Ethan paused before entering, straightening his uniform and taking a deep breath. The chamber was enormous, with ceilings that seemed to vanish into mist and columns carved from translucent stone. And at the center sat Queen Liriana. She was magnificent. Her posture commanded attention, yet there was a serenity about her that drew him in rather than pushing him away. Her eyes, sharp and bright, scanned the room. And Ethan felt for the first time in his life that someone was truly evaluating him. Not just his uniform or skills, but his very being. "Ethan Carter," she said, her voice calm but firm, carrying a tone that left no room for misinterpretation. "You are to be my personal bodyguard." Ethan's mind raced. He had imagined being part of a security team or assisting in diplomatic missions, but this was different. "Your Majesty," he stammered. "I am honored, but are you certain a human can fulfill such a role?" Liriana's lips curved into the faintest smile. "Humans often surprise me, Ethan. That is why I requested you specifically." She gestured for him to approach. "Come closer. Observation is as important as strength. You must understand the environment before you can protect it." Ethan stepped forward, trying to hide the tremor in his hands. He studied her closely, noting the slight flicker of curiosity in her eyes, the way her fingers tapped lightly on the armrest, and the subtle tilt of her head that suggested thoughtfulness beyond protocol. "You will begin your training immediately," she continued. "Learn the palace, understand our technology, and observe our people. Your role is not just protection, but integration. You must anticipate threats before they occur. Can you do this?" Ethan nodded. "Yes, Your Majesty." Inside, he felt a mixture of fear and excitement. This mission could define his career or end it. The next days were a whirlwind. Ethan studied palace layouts, security systems, and Zithran etiquette. He learned to move quietly through corridors that shifted color according to mood, to read subtle gestures of the guards and advisors, and to understand the palace's surveillance systems, which were both physical and psychic in nature. It was overwhelming yet thrilling. One evening, while practicing a security drill, Ethan noticed something unusual. Queen Liriana had left her quarters to observe the training discreetly. From her position, she watched silently, leaning against a column, her expression unreadable. Yet when Ethan performed a difficult maneuver perfectly, she nodded ever so slightly, almost imperceptibly. That small acknowledgement sent a rush of pride through him. He realized that she noticed more than just actions. She noticed effort, attention to detail, and perhaps even intent. As the days passed, Ethan became more attuned to the rhythms of the palace. He noticed how Liriana interacted with her advisors, commanding attention without dominating, listening to opinions with care, and making decisions that balanced logic with empathy. Yet there were moments he could not explain. Occasionally, her commanding demeanor would soften, and he would catch her humming softly to herself or pausing by a window to watch the alien gardens. These glimpses of her private self fascinated him. One night, during a routine security sweep, Ethan explored a corridor that led to the lower levels of the palace. The walls here were older, less polished, yet humming with energy. He discovered a hidden door, almost invisible, blending perfectly with the surroundings. Curiosity tugged at him, but he hesitated. His training reminded him that certain areas were off-limits. But then faint light spilled through the edges of the door, and a sense of quiet focus reached him. He could not resist. Carefully, he opened the door. Inside was a chamber unlike any he had seen. Crystals floated in midair, emitting soft, pulsing light. Panels lined the walls, filled with symbols and readings he could not decipher. At the center, Queen Liriana stood manipulating a holographic display with delicate precision. She did not notice him immediately. Ethan froze, unsure whether to announce his presence. Yet when she finally turned, her reaction was not anger but mild surprise. "Ethan," she said calmly, "I did not expect you here. I'm sorry, Your Majesty," he stammered. "I just was curious." Liriana's expression softened. "Curiosity is not forbidden. Observation is part of protection. If you wish to guard me effectively, you must understand more than appearances." She gestured for him to approach. "This chamber is where I study interstellar communications. I monitor potential conflicts across nearby systems and search for solutions that prevent wars before they start. It is private work meant to keep my people safe." Ethan's eyes widened. He had expected security systems, training rooms, or tactical planning chambers. Not a place where the Queen worked to prevent interstellar conflict through diplomacy and foresight. "This is incredible," he said quietly. Liriana nodded. "Many see only the throne and the ceremonial duties. They do not see the work behind it. That is why my bodyguard must be more than vigilant. He must understand the heart behind the crown." Ethan felt a deep respect for her, unlike anything he had experienced before. He realized that the Queen's strength was not just in power or command, but in intelligence, foresight, and compassion. His role as her protector was far more important than guarding against physical threats. It was about understanding, anticipating, and supporting a vision larger than himself. From that moment, Ethan's approach to his duties changed. He paid closer attention to the subtle cues in her behavior, learned to anticipate her movements, and even began to notice patterns in her decision-making. He was no longer just a human in a foreign palace. He was a partner in protection, an observer of the mind behind the crown. Yet despite the growing sense of purpose, Ethan could not shake a feeling of anticipation. Zithera was a peaceful planet for now, but in the galaxy, peace was fragile. He had glimpsed the Queen's hidden side, but he knew that challenges, political, environmental, and personal, lay ahead. His training had only begun. Ethan stepped out of the chamber, closing the door gently behind him. The corridors seemed different now, not merely walls of polished stone and humming light, but a living network of activity, secrets, and subtle beauty. He understood that his journey on Zithera was not just about survival. It was about learning, growing, and discovering the layers of a world far beyond human experience. As he walked back to his quarters, he caught sight of the Queen through the large observation windows of the palace. She stood watching the horizon, the alien sky ablaze with multiple suns setting in shades of violet and gold. For a brief moment, her commanding presence softened, and she seemed almost human. Ethan felt a quiet determination. No matter the challenges ahead, he would rise to meet them. He would protect her, not just as a bodyguard, but as someone who understood her hidden side, her vision, and her purpose. And in that realization, Ethan Carter knew that his life had changed forever. The next morning, Ethan woke early, the light of Zithera's twin suns spilling across his quarters. He stretched and checked his equipment, but his mind kept returning to the chamber he had discovered the night before. The memory of Queen Liriana working among floating crystals and holographic displays was vivid. It had been unlike anything he had seen, and it had changed the way he viewed his role entirely. After breakfast, a Zytheran officer approached him. "Ethan Carter, the Queen requests your presence," she said. Her tone was neutral, but Ethan noticed a slight lift in her eyes, almost as if she enjoyed testing him. He followed her through the palace corridors, moving with more confidence than he had on his first day. He recognized the patterns in the walls, the subtle hum beneath the floors, and even the gestures of the guards as they passed. Each observation made him feel more integrated into this alien world. Liriana awaited him in a private chamber, one he had not yet seen. It was smaller, more personal, with walls that glimmered like liquid crystal and soft lights that shifted gently in response to presence. Plants with translucent leaves glowed faintly along the edges of the room. The Queen stood by a large table reviewing documents that hovered in midair. "Ethan," she greeted him without looking up. "Today I have a special task for you." He nodded, ready for instructions. "Yes, Your Majesty. This palace, though magnificent, holds secrets that are vital to the safety of my people. Some are practical, others are historical. You are to explore them under my guidance. You must learn the hidden ways of Zithra if you are to serve me fully." Ethan felt a thrill of excitement. The Queen had entrusted him not just with her safety, but with understanding the mysteries of her world. "I understand, Your Majesty. I won't disappoint you." Liriana finally looked up. Her eyes studied him for a long moment, and Ethan felt the weight of her attention. "I believe you will surprise me, Ethan," she said. "Follow me." They walked together through corridors that Ethan had never noticed before. The walls shimmered softly, and doors appeared as if by magic when Liriana passed near them. She led him to a grand library, its ceiling vanishing into mist. Floating books and scrolls glowed with information from across Zithra and neighboring systems. Ethan felt as if he had stepped into a living repository of knowledge. This library holds not only history, but also insight into every diplomatic mission the Queen has undertaken, Liriana explained. "You must understand context. A bodyguard is useless if they cannot anticipate threats, even those that are invisible or subtle." Ethan spent hours studying, guided by the Queen herself. She pointed out patterns in past events, showing him how small choices could ripple across entire systems. He marveled at her memory, her ability to connect details, and the careful precision with which she explained complex matters in simple terms. During a brief pause, Ethan ventured a question. "Your Majesty, do you ever feel overwhelmed by all of this responsibility?" Liriana's eyes softened. She walked to a window looking out at the alien gardens below. "Sometimes," she admitted quietly. "Leadership is a burden but also a privilege. It is not just about power. It is about understanding the lives you influence. I carry it because I must, but also because I choose to." Ethan felt a deep respect growing within him. Here was a ruler who could inspire loyalty not through fear, but through dedication, intelligence, and care. And yet he also sensed something more, moments of curiosity, of personal reflection that she rarely revealed to anyone. Later that day, while performing his security rounds, Ethan noticed unusual activity near the palace docks. A small group of Zithran technicians worked on a vessel that hovered slightly above the landing pad. He approached quietly, observing the process. It appeared they were testing a communication device capable of sending messages across vast distances instantly. He remembered the chamber from the night before and realized the connection. The Queen had been studying interstellar communication devices to monitor potential conflicts. She did not just respond to problems, she anticipated them. Ethan felt a renewed sense of purpose. His role was not simply to defend, but to be an active participant in the Queen's mission of peace. As evening fell, Liriana requested Ethan's presence once more. She led him to a secluded balcony overlooking the glowing forests and rivers below. The sky was ablaze with colors, the twin suns casting long, soft shadows. Ethan felt a rare sense of calm. "Ethan," she said, her tone softer than usual, "I want you to see something few have witnessed." She gestured to the landscape. "These forests are alive in ways humans cannot imagine. Each plant, each creature communicates in its own language. My people have learned to listen." Ethan watched in awe as subtle movements among the trees seemed almost purposeful. He noticed flashes of color, small signals exchanged among the creatures. It was a living network, and the Queen understood it. He realized her hidden side was not just her intelligence or leadership, but her ability to perceive and connect with life in ways others could not. Over the next few days, Ethan's understanding of the palace and its secrets deepened. He discovered corridors that led to observation rooms overlooking the alien wildlife, laboratories where scientists studied the planets of nearby systems, and chambers where advisors debated complex interstellar treaties. Everywhere he went, he noticed the Queen's influence, her decisions shaping outcomes, her presence inspiring loyalty, her intelligence guiding those around her. One afternoon, a minor incident tested Ethan's vigilance. A small maintenance drone malfunctioned near the Queen's quarters, threatening to disrupt sensitive equipment. Ethan reacted quickly, shutting down the drone and securing the area before anyone noticed. Liriana observed the situation silently, then turned to him with a slight nod. "Good reflexes," she said. "But remember, protection is not just reaction. It is anticipation. Study, observe, understand." Ethan absorbed her words. He realized that being the Queen's bodyguard was as much about mental alertness and empathy as it was about physical skill. He began to see patterns, noticing subtle cues in behavior and environment that others overlooked. One evening, he returned to the hidden chamber he had discovered. Liriana was there, focused on a new holographic display. She looked up as he entered, a faint smile on her face. "I see you have returned," she said. I wanted to learn more, Your Majesty," Ethan replied. "I feel there is so much to understand." "You are perceptive," she said, gesturing to the display. "This work is delicate. It involves predicting the movements of entire civilizations, understanding their cultures, and preventing conflicts before they begin. Few can grasp it fully." Ethan studied the patterns of data, trying to comprehend the complexity. "It's incredible," he said. "You're not just leading your people, you're protecting entire systems." Liriana nodded. "And that is why I need someone I can trust by my side. Not just a protector of my life, but a partner who understands my vision. You have shown curiosity, courage, and diligence. These are qualities that matter more than strength alone." Ethan felt a surge of pride and responsibility. The Queen had shared a glimpse of her hidden side, her private dedication to peace and knowledge. He understood that he was not just guarding her. He was supporting a mission that could affect countless lives across the galaxy. Days turned into weeks, and Ethan's integration into the palace grew deeper. He learned to navigate not only the physical layout but the social currents, understanding the unspoken rules of communication, loyalty, and respect. He observed how Liriana treated her advisors, listened to her people, and balanced multiple responsibilities simultaneously. He realized that her hidden side, the moments of reflection, curiosity, and empathy, was as vital to her leadership as her public presence. One evening, after a long day of training and observation, Ethan found himself standing on the balcony once again. Liriana joined him, her expression thoughtful as she gazed at the horizon. "You have adapted well," she said quietly. "But remember, the galaxy is ever-changing. Peace is fragile, and understanding is the key to preserving it." Ethan nodded. "I understand, Your Majesty. I will do my best to protect you and your vision." She looked at him, her eyes reflecting both appreciation and something deeper, trust, perhaps, or acknowledgement of his growing role in her world. "I believe you will, Ethan," she said softly. "And perhaps in time you will discover even more about this world, and about yourself." As he returned to his quarters that night, Ethan felt a sense of purpose he had never known. Zithra was more than a mission. It was a world of wonder, challenge, and responsibility. The Queen's hidden side had revealed the depth of her dedication, and Ethan knew that his journey was only beginning. He was not merely a human bodyguard on an alien planet. He was a partner, a witness, and a participant in the unfolding story of a ruler whose vision extended far beyond her throne. And for the first time, he felt that he truly belonged. The palace was unusually quiet that morning, the kind of stillness that made Ethan uneasy. He patrolled the corridors with careful precision, his senses sharpened from weeks of observing the palace's rhythms. Even though no immediate threat had been reported, he knew better than to assume peace was permanent. The Queen's world, while beautiful and orderly, was not immune to external pressures, and Ethan had learned that anticipation was just as important as reaction. Ethan had just completed a security sweep of the northern wing when an urgent message arrived. The communication crystal in his quarters glowed brightly, signaling a high-priority transmission. He touched it, and a holographic projection of a Zitharan diplomat appeared, her expression tense. "Queen Liriana," she said, "we have received troubling news from the neighboring planet of Talvoria. They are considering withdrawing from the peace accord. Their leaders are uneasy about the recent trade negotiations and tensions could escalate quickly. Ethan felt a pang of concern. Conflict between Zithra and Talvoria could destabilize the entire region. He knew that if the situation worsened, it would require immediate action from the Queen. He quickly reported the news to Liriana, who had been reviewing strategic maps in the council chamber. Liriana's face remained composed, but Ethan noticed a subtle tightening around her eyes. She absorbed the information silently, then turned to him. "Ethan, this will be your first test beyond the palace. I need you at my side as we handle this matter. Your observations may be crucial." Ethan's heart raced. This was the moment he had been training for, yet the responsibility was heavier than he had imagined. "I will be ready, Your Majesty," he said firmly. The journey to Talvoria was swift thanks to the Queen's advanced interstellar vessel. As they approached the planet, Ethan observed its surface from the viewing deck. Talvoria's cities were constructed within massive craters, the architecture both elegant and utilitarian. The planet had a harsh beauty, with red-hued landscapes and glowing mineral deposits scattered across the terrain. Upon landing, Ethan and Liriana were greeted by Talvorian officials. The atmosphere was tense, and Ethan immediately noticed the subtle cues in body language. The folded arms, the stiff postures, the measured tones. These were not people accustomed to being reassured. They were leaders wary of outsiders. Ethan understood that his role was as much about perception as protection. The negotiation room was vast and circular, with a high domed ceiling that reflected light like a crystal prism. Talvorian delegates sat rigidly, their expressions guarded. Liriana entered with quiet grace, and Ethan flanked her, his posture alert yet unobtrusive. The discussion began formally with representatives outlining grievances and concerns. Ethan observed closely, noting micro-expressions and subtle shifts in tone. He realized that Liriana's ability to read people was extraordinary. She did not rely on dominance or force. She listened, asked careful questions, and allowed her opponents to feel understood while gently guiding them toward compromise. At one point, a Talvorian leader raised a particularly sharp objection. Ethan noticed the tension in his shoulders, the quick glance to his advisors, and the slight quiver in his voice. Liriana responded calmly, acknowledging the concern without conceding ground unnecessarily. She proposed a small creative solution that addressed the Talvorians' fears, while maintaining the integrity of the peace accord. Ethan watched as the atmosphere in the room shifted subtly. The tension eased, shoulders relaxed, voices softened. It was almost imperceptible yet profound. He realized that this was another hidden aspect of the Queen's strength, the ability to influence hearts and minds without coercion. During a brief recess, Ethan had a moment to speak with one of the Talvorian aides. "Your Queen is remarkable," he said quietly. "I've never seen leadership like this. She doesn't just negotiate, she understands." The aide nodded. "Few outsiders do. That is why she is trusted, even by those who might oppose her. Her power is invisible yet undeniable." Ethan felt a surge of pride. He was not just witnessing history. He was part of it, standing beside a leader whose abilities went far beyond any human expectation. Yet he knew that vigilance was still required. Even in moments of apparent calm, threats could arise. Later, as the formal talks resumed, Ethan noticed a minor disruption in the communication systems. A holographic display flickered, and a subtle signal appeared that he had learned to recognize during his training. He alerted Liriana discreetly. She glanced at the display, her expression unchanged, then subtly adjusted her strategy. The meeting continued smoothly, and no one else noticed the minor interference. After hours of discussion, the negotiations concluded successfully. The Talvorians agreed to remain in the peace accord, their concerns addressed in a manner that preserved dignity and trust. Ethan felt a deep sense of relief and accomplishment. The Queen had not only averted a potential conflict, but had done so in a way that strengthened alliances and built goodwill. On the return journey to Zithra, Ethan reflected on what he had witnessed. The Queen's hidden side, the quiet intelligence, the empathy, and the ability to perceive subtleties others missed, was the true source of her strength. He realized that his training, his observations, and his understanding of the palace had prepared him not just to protect her physically, but to anticipate the challenges she faced in her broader mission of peace. Back on Zithera, the palace was alive with activity. Ethan resumed his duties, now with a heightened sense of purpose. He conducted security sweeps, monitored the palace systems, and assisted in coordinating responses to incoming communications. Each task was an opportunity to apply what he had learned, to anticipate potential problems, and to support the Queen in ways beyond mere physical protection. One evening, as Ethan reviewed reports in the strategy room, Liriana approached him. "Ethan," she said softly, "you have proven yourself in ways beyond expectation. Your observations, your calmness under pressure, your willingness to learn. These are the qualities that make a true guardian." Ethan felt a mixture of humility and pride. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I have learned so much from you. Your ability to see beyond appearances, it's unlike anything I've ever encountered." Liriana smiled faintly. "It is not unlike anything, Ethan. It is simply a matter of understanding, patience, and care. You are beginning to see what I have always known. Leadership is as much about listening and learning as it is about directing." Ethan spent the following days deepening his understanding of the palace's hidden systems. He learned about secret escape routes, advanced surveillance protocols, and even the communication methods the Queen used to consult with distant allies. He realized that protection was no longer just about vigilance, it was about integration. He was becoming part of the network, an extension of the Queen's own perception. During a quiet moment in the palace gardens, Ethan observed Liriana interacting with a group of young Zitheran students. She listened attentively, offered guidance, and encouraged their curiosity. Ethan noticed how naturally she inspired trust and respect without demanding it. He understood that her hidden side was not only her intelligence or strategic skill, but her ability to connect deeply with others, to nurture potential, and to inspire loyalty through example. One evening, as he patrolled the upper corridors, Ethan encountered a minor security issue. A small maintenance robot had malfunctioned near a sensitive laboratory, threatening delicate equipment. He acted quickly, redirecting the robot and securing the area before anyone noticed. When Liriana later reviewed the incident, she simply nodded at him. "Your vigilance serves more than protection. It preserves the work and vision of this palace," she said quietly. Ethan realized that every action, no matter how small, contributed to a larger purpose. The Queen's hidden side, her foresight, empathy, and dedication, was a force that shaped the lives of many, and he was privileged to be part of it. As the day drew to a close, Ethan found himself once again on the balcony overlooking the alien forests. Liriana joined him, her expression thoughtful as she gazed at the horizon. "Ethan," she said softly, "the galaxy is vast and peace is fragile. Your presence here is not merely for my safety. It is for the safety of what we both hold dear, the future of our people and the harmony we strive to maintain." Ethan nodded, feeling a deep sense of purpose. "I understand, Your Majesty. I will continue to serve, not just as your bodyguard, but as someone who sees and supports your vision." Liriana looked at him, her eyes reflecting trust and appreciation. "I believe you will, Ethan. And in time, you may discover even more about yourself in this process. Courage, curiosity, and empathy. These are the qualities that define a protector, and you possess them." Ethan stood silently, gazing at the alien landscape bathed in twilight colors. He felt a sense of fulfillment unlike anything he had known. The Queen's hidden side had revealed the depth of her dedication, and he had played a role in preserving her mission. He knew that challenges lay ahead, but he was ready to face them. For the first time, he felt truly part of something greater than himself, a mission that transcended planets, species, and expectations. And he understood that being the Queen's bodyguard was not just a duty, it was an honor, a journey of growth, and a chance to witness the extraordinary hidden layers of leadership and humanity in one of the galaxy. The days following the successful negotiations with Talvoria were filled with a renewed sense of calm in the palace. The corridors were alive with activity, but Ethan felt a quiet satisfaction in the rhythm of his duties. He had grown accustomed to the pulse of Zithera, the subtle hum of the walls, the shifting lights, and the flow of the people moving through the palace. Yet beneath this calm, Ethan sensed that the galaxy remained unpredictable. Peace was not permanent. Vigilance was essential. Ethan spent his mornings patrolling the palace, reviewing security logs and studying the hidden corridors and chambers that the Queen had shown him. Each day he discovered something new: a secret observation room overlooking the forests, a chamber where scientists analyzed cosmic phenomena, or a communication hub that monitored nearby star systems. He realized that the palace itself was alive, a network of knowledge, observation, and preparation. Protecting it required more than guarding doors. It required understanding. One afternoon, Liriana summoned Ethan to her private chamber. She stood by the window, looking out over the gardens that shimmered with the soft light of bioluminescent plants. Her expression was thoughtful, almost reflective, and Ethan felt the weight of her presence. "Ethan," she began, "you have grown in understanding and perception. You are no longer simply my protector in the physical sense. You have begun to grasp the importance of observation, empathy, and foresight. These qualities are what make a true guardian." Ethan bowed respectfully. "Your Majesty, I have learned so much from you. Your wisdom and insight guide me in ways I never imagined." Liriana smiled faintly. "There is more to leadership than meets the eye. Power alone is meaningless without understanding. I am pleased that you see this. And now there is something I wish to share with you, something personal." Curiosity surged within Ethan. He had glimpsed her hidden side before, but this felt different, more intimate, more deliberate. Liriana gestured for him to follow her to a secluded balcony overlooking the twin suns as they set, painting the sky with hues of violet, gold, and rose. The scene was breathtaking, but Ethan's attention was drawn to the Queen herself. "I rarely share this with anyone," she said softly, "but I want you to understand me not just as your ruler, but as someone who carries the weight of responsibility with care and reflection. My people see my decisions, my advisors see my strategy, but few see the quiet moments when I consider the consequences of every action." Ethan listened intently, realizing the depth of her words. "I understand, Your Majesty," he said, "and I am honored to witness and support this side of you." Liriana's gaze softened and she continued, "Leadership is a balance between what is required and what is possible. Sometimes the hardest choices are the ones no one sees. But even in those moments, one must act with integrity, compassion, and foresight. That is why I value your presence, Ethan. You have learned to see beyond appearances, to anticipate, and to act with awareness." Ethan felt a deep sense of purpose. He understood that his journey on Zithera had transformed him. He was no longer a visitor or a human assigned to an alien world. He was an integral part of the Queen's mission, a witness to her hidden strengths, and a participant in the delicate balance of diplomacy and security. In the days that followed, the palace received a delegation from a distant system seeking alliance with Zithera. The visit was delicate. The visitors were wary and had their own political concerns. Ethan flanked the Queen as they entered the grand audience chamber. He noticed the subtle tensions, the slight stiffness in the visitors' posture, the guarded expressions, the cautious gestures. Liriana addressed them with calm authority. Her words were measured, her tone composed, yet she exuded warmth that gradually eased the delegation's apprehension. Ethan observed carefully, noting micro-expressions, shifts in gaze, and subtle movements that indicated how the Queen's influence was reshaping the room. By the end of the meeting, the delegation was not only reassured but inspired, willing to work with Zithera toward mutual understanding. Later, Ethan accompanied Liriana to the palace gardens, where she often went to find clarity and reflection. The air was filled with the soft glow of bioluminescent plants and the gentle hum of alien creatures. Ethan noticed how naturally the Queen moved among the flora, pausing to observe the delicate interactions between plants and the wildlife around them. It was another glimpse of her hidden side, a connection to life that went beyond strategy, politics, or power. "You notice many things," Liriana said, turning to him with a soft smile. "That is why you are valuable, Ethan. Your observations, your attentiveness, and your willingness to understand make you more than a bodyguard. You are part of a network, part of the flow that sustains peace and harmony in this palace and beyond." Ethan nodded. "I am grateful for your trust, Your Majesty. It guides me to do my best." Liriana's expression grew thoughtful. "Trust is mutual. You protect not just me, but the ideals we represent. Courage, empathy, and awareness. These are the qualities that matter. You have them." Over the next week, Ethan continued to refine his skills, integrating himself more fully into palace life. He participated in strategy sessions, assisted in coordinating diplomatic communications, and even helped design security measures that were subtle and unobtrusive. Through it all, he began to understand the delicate balance of leadership, the way the Queen's hidden side influenced her public actions, how foresight and empathy guided every decision, and how vigilance, even in quiet moments, preserved harmony. One evening, while patrolling the upper corridors, Ethan noticed a minor disturbance in the palace systems. A maintenance unit had triggered an alert in a sector containing sensitive research materials. Acting quickly, he navigated the corridor and secured the area, preventing potential damage. When Liriana reviewed the incident, she acknowledged his prompt action with a brief nod. "Your vigilance maintains not only safety, but also the integrity of our work," she said quietly. Ethan realized that every action, no matter how small, contributed to a larger purpose. His role extended beyond protection. It was about safeguarding knowledge, relationships, and vision. He felt a profound sense of pride, knowing that he was part of a mission that transcended ordinary duty. As the days passed, the bond between Ethan and Liriana deepened. They shared conversations about Earth, the differences between human and Zithran cultures, and their respective visions for the future. Ethan learned that Liriana's hidden side was not just intelligence and strategy, but also curiosity, humor, and a genuine appreciation for life's small moments. He noticed her laughter when observing the playful interactions of palace children, her fascination with Earth stories, and the quiet satisfaction she felt when a diplomatic solution succeeded without conflict. One night, Ethan stood on the balcony gazing at the stars. Liriana joined him, her presence calm and reassuring. "Ethan," she said softly, "you have grown beyond expectation. Your dedication, perception, and empathy have proven invaluable. You have learned to see what others overlook, to understand what is unseen, and to support the ideals we hold dear." Ethan looked at her, a sense of fulfillment washing over him. "Your Majesty, it has been an honor to serve and learn from you. I feel that I have become part of something greater than myself. A mission that transcends worlds, species, and expectations." Liriana smiled, her eyes reflecting trust, appreciation, and something more intimate, a quiet acknowledgement of shared understanding. "And in this shared journey, Ethan, you may discover your own hidden strengths. Courage, curiosity, and empathy. These are not qualities limited to one species or one individual. They are the foundation of guardianship, leadership, and progress." Ethan felt the truth of her words. He realized that his journey on Zithra had changed him fundamentally. He was no longer simply a human in an alien world. He was a participant in shaping its future, a guardian of ideals, and a witness to the hidden side of a leader whose vision inspired loyalty, respect, and admiration. As they stood together, watching the twin suns set over the horizon, Ethan felt a quiet peace. He understood that challenges would continue to arise, that the galaxy would remain unpredictable, and that vigilance would always be necessary. Yet he also understood that he was ready, equipped not only with skills and knowledge, but with insight, empathy, and a profound sense of purpose. The palace, the gardens, and the vast landscapes of Zithra stretched before them, alive with possibility. Ethan realized that his role as the Queen's bodyguard was more than protection. It was partnership, understanding, and shared vision. The hidden side of the Queen had revealed itself in countless ways, through her curiosity, empathy, intelligence, and unwavering dedication. And in turn, Ethan had discovered his own potential, his ability to rise to challenges, and the power of trust and loyalty. As night fell, Ethan felt a sense of belonging that he had never known. He was no longer an outsider. He was a part of a world larger than Earth, a mission greater than himself, and a partnership with a leader whose hidden side illuminated the path forward. Together they would face the uncertainties of the galaxy, guided by courage, insight, and the bond forged through understanding and trust. Ethan Carter realized that life on Zithra had given him more than experience or duty. It had given him purpose, friendship,